In this video, I'll go through the game class because it's the first class I wrote and it's the heart of the functionality for this project. Let's talk about what the game does. It tracks all the stats, all the state during a baseball game. It provides methods that correspond to game events during a game. The game starts, the count is 0 and 0, no balls, no strikes, there's no outs. It's the top of the first inning. The count and inning are separate classes I'll touch on later. There's two teams, the home team and the away team. There's a couple of other attributes like the bat team and the pitch team. These are just references to the home and away team, and they swap back and forth as the innings switch sides. Similarly, the current pitcher and current batter just point to the current pitcher and current batter that are at bat and on the mound at this current moment. The bat team stats and pitch team stats are just pointers into the stats. So the string methods output the state of the game as a string. It differs whether the game is over or if the game is still in progress. If the game is over, it prints out that the game is over, prints out the winning team, and it tells you the final score. And if it's not a 9-inning game, it will tell you that the game took X number of innings, where that could be 10, 11, 12, up to infinity. If the game is still in progress, it'll tell you whether it's the top or the bottom and which inning it is. It'll tell you the score, and then it'll tell you who's at bat, what the count is, and how many outs there are. So now we get to the actual game events. These are the methods that change the state of the game. The first one we'll look at is the strike. It's fairly straightforward. If there's 2 strikes, then there's a strikeout. If there's less than 2 strikes, it just increments the count of the number of strikes by 1. I use the double underscore convention to differentiate that this is an internal method. Basically, if you're a user of this class, you'll call the strike, but you'll leave it up to the game class to determine if there's a strikeout. So you won't call strikeout directly. A ball is similar. If there's 3 balls, then we call the walk method. Otherwise, we just increment the count with 1 more ball. Foul ball is pretty straightforward. If there's less than 2 strikes, it does the exact same thing as a strike, so we just call the strike method. If there's 2 strikes, it does nothing. So the hit by pitch is now the first method we see that calls a stats method. The double underscore stats method deals with adjusting the statistics for the batter, the pitcher, the teams, and possibly the base runners. So all the double underscore stats methods are dealing directly with the stats of the individuals or the teams. Since a hit by pitch is essentially just a walk, it then calls the walk method where hit by pitch is true. We'll look at the walk method later. So the steal is a slightly more complicated method. The steal requires a base as an argument, so you have to tell it which base is stolen, and the base has to be either second, third, or home. If we're stealing home, then we clear third base basically. We add a run, and we give a steal to the runner. Otherwise, we advance the runner 1 base, and we give them a steal. Caught stealing is similar. You have to give it a base that's attempted to be stolen. We'll clear the base before the one that's being stolen. We'll issue a put out, and we'll increase the stats of caught stealing for the base runner. Anytime there's an invalid steal or an invalid caught stealing, we'll have an exception raised. This protects you from calling the wrong thing at the wrong time. you'll see how I use that later. For now, just know that it's there. So a pickoff also requires a base. You need to know the base that the runner was on. It can be first, second, or third. Obviously, there can't be a base runner anywhere else. So you tell it the base that the runner was on, and we'll pick that runner off. We increase the stats for that pickoffs for the pitcher, and we issue a put out. If you call a pickoff for a base where there's no runner, then it raises an exception. A ground out is pretty straightforward. The batter just grounds out. We increase his at bats. We move on to the next batter, and we issue a put out. The fly out is exactly the same. At some point, I may differentiate the stats for these. So pitchers will have stats for how many ground outs and fly outs they get. But at this point, there's no point in differentiating those. A balk is something that occurs only rarely. If there's nobody on base, a balk does absolutely nothing. If there are runners on base, then we advance all the runners one base. If there's a score, which is returned by the advance all routine on bases, then we'll score that runner and give him his stats. A hit is a slightly more complicated method. A batter can get a hit. The number is the number for the hit. A 1 equals a single, a 2 equals a double, 3 is a triple, 4 is a home run. So by default, if a batter hits a single, then all runners advance one base. And so the advances are a list of tuples. There should be one tuple for each runner who advances on the play, and it should specify the from and to bases the runner moved from and to, and these are the numbers for those bases. 0 is first, 1 is second, 2 is third, and then 3 or greater is home plate. So in the case that the base runners didn't advance, advances should be passed into none. So it's possible that there could be, say, a runner on second, a batter hits a single, but somehow the runner from second didn't advance to third. Maybe the hit went through the infield to the left fielder, and the runner was slow off the hit, or it was a high pop fly. There was some chance it could be caught. So there's some chance that a runner doesn't advance. And then also there's cases where a batter will hit a single, but a runner could advance all the way home from first base. You know, if it's Coco Crisp or something, it could happen. So the code for that is not straightforward, but this is all the possibilities where we keep track of the scores, who scored, who's advanced. If there's a home run, then we increase the stats of the RBIs for the batter. We give him a home run. We score himself. Otherwise, it's a double or a triple. We give them stats for a double or a triple, and then we put the batter on base. So these are the stats that are increased. Like you get an at-bat, you get a hit, and then we move on to the next batter. So a double play, generally, you know,